Hi, thank you so much for joining me for the acronym explanation series. My name is Jen, and I'm on a healing journey breaking free from the destructive patterns of disordered eating and embracing a nourishing lifestyle. I am using an original acronym of the word Nourisher to help guide my healing process. And in this series, I'm going to take a deep dive into each of the letters of the Nourisher acronym in order to explain it to you further. So thank you for joining me, and let's dig in. Hi, thank you so much for joining me. We are going to unpack the letter I in our acronym of Nourisher, which stands for Insulin Friendly Eating. Now, the initial letters, the N, notice my emotions, O, open up to others, U, understand the cycle, and R, rewire my brain. For me, that's where the crux of the healing journey happens. Those are the big deals that are actually going to be able to get us to a point of living as nourishing, protecting, vibrant people. But at the end of the day, you still need to eat. And this for me is really, really difficult because if I was addicted to, not to diminish the incredible, difficult work of recovery from addiction, but people who are addicted to particular substances that are not essential for life, they have the option, not that it's easy, don't hear me say that, they have the option of cutting that substance out of their life. I do not have the option of cutting food out of my life. Food, the relationship with food is, and water for that matter, is mandatory for me to live. So even though this is an area of such intense and immense struggle for me, I have no choice but to continue every single day of my life to interact with food. And that can be very difficult. So I love that in the Nourisher acronym, even though maybe the first 4 points are the most important, then the next points are the practical nitty-gritty. What do we actually do when it comes to this interaction with food and water? So I struggled with this because in the literature of emotional or of eating disorders, this I should be, and maybe some of you would like to change it to, and by all means, edit this to be what is true and right and good for you, because we are at different places in our journey. But it could be something called intuitive eating. And intuitive eating is when you are able to be in tune with your body and listen to your body and eat what is what connects with your values and what your body is wanting and needing. Okay? So this sounds really wonderful. But many of us, as I've dialogued with many of you who have been in this boat of currently dealing with a disordered pattern of eating, disordered relationship with food, and myself included, I have so damaged my body by eating so poorly and so not in line with my values and in ways that have harmed my body for so long that my satiation cues, my brain's ability to tell my body you're hungry, you're full, you're thirsty, all of those are so messed up that I do not believe that I am in a place currently in my journey that I can eat intuitively. If I was going to eat intuitively, my intuition right now look more like cravings. And I believe that my intuition of what my body wants to eat and my values are not aligned in that way. So I chose instead to, I do not want to be pumping a particular program or a diet. I mean, how many diets are there out there? And that is not what we need, is just to have some new restriction. Remember the cycle? We don't want to be back just in some new pattern of restricting eating. But what we want to do is we want to be eating healthfully, nourishing our body, giving it all these wonderful things that it needs to grow and thrive and flourish. And when I boil that down to caring for our insulin levels. So as you know, what insulin is the agent in our body that helps clear sugar out of our blood and that helps bring all of the nourishing energy to the different cells in our body. Now, I am not a dietitian. I am not a nutritionist. Please, please, please talk to the professionals on this one. But this is my rudimentary understanding, is that when we eat, the insulin can go and take the energy and distribute it. Right? So what ends up happening though is when I bombard my system with, refined sugars, or even, highly glutinous foods that end up breaking down into sugar. I had no idea when I started this journey that one piece of whole grain bread that I always thought was, multigrain even, that I thought was so healthy, actually just turns into the equivalent of like 3 teaspoons of table sugar in my body. So these foods end up surging this amount of insulin that has to come to the rescue and pull all of this blood out of my or pull all the sugar out of my blood, because if the sugar sits in the blood, you die. So, and as it can, if I'm using up the energy, young children, of course, they can burn through this stuff if their metabolisms are working well. Then I kind of picture it as this little, like a truck, like it goes and it grabs the insulin goes and it grabs the sugar out of our veins and distributes it to the different cells. But it comes to the point where we start to be what's called insulin resistant, where our cells can no longer use the amount of energy that we are offering to it, or they start refusing to it. But there's one cell in our body that will always, 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 always happily receive the sugar, and that is our fat cells. And our fat cells will always they take it in as energy and they multiply it as fat. So this is not to say that I'm recommending insulin friendly eating in order to avoid from getting fat. No. But what happens in this process is that we end up becoming sluggish and fatigued, and our immune system ends up getting compromised, and we end up then feeling very, very poorly about ourselves, and this can spiral and spiral us back into, when we think about the understanding the cycle, back into shame, or cause us to restrict even more, which can further burn and kill our metabolism. And it's just this vicious, vicious cycle. Whereas if we can be eating nourishing foods, healthy fats, healthy proteins, healthy carbohydrates in the form of vegetables and healthy grains, we can be stabilizing these blood sugars so that these little trucks can be running around and actually providing energy to our bodies and our cells that our bodies can actually use in healthy, beautiful ways. So, insulin-friendly eating for me is eating smaller portions throughout the day. I try to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours, and giving my body a little bit of a break in between that 2.5 to 3 hours to actually let the insulin do its work and actually distribute the energy rather than constantly grazing. That's a helpful thing for me. So maybe you need to change the letter I. Maybe there's something that's different there for you, but something that is gentle and nourishing to our bodies is really key. For me personally, in order to help educate me about how am I supposed to know that this multigrain food that is advertised to me as being this healthy choice, and how am I supposed to know? It just blows my mind. I mean, I'm an educated person who holds a degree, and somehow in the education system, I did not know that that piece of multigrain bread was going to turn into 3 teaspoons of table sugar in my body. So we need to be re-educated. I'd love to see educational reform in the actual school system, but I need to educate myself about what is healthy eating, healthy living. And I need to take some of the paradigms that I currently hold and challenge those. And for me, an incredible education tool, a fabulous program, and a beautiful community of people who are striving for food freedom in a healthy way was a community and a program that is called the Trim Healthy Mama. If you are a gentleman listening to this, maybe they use the acronym THM, which some people say is trim hunky or tough hunky man or trim hunky man or whatever. Use it. Don't get hung up on the name. But this Trim Healthy Mama is a program that helps you to eat healthfully, freely, in a way that has wonderful education and that is so at its core, so gentle to your blood sugars. So that is what I use. There's lots of other programs out there that could help assist you on this journey. And again, a program is not necessary to help you nourish yourself in healthy ways. So let's be gentle to our bodies. Let's avoid extremes. And let's learn how we can nourish ourselves to greater and greater degrees.